Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arrive and Drive, a new podcast coming to all the podcast platforms out there for your enjoyment on motorsports. We're excited for this show. I hope you guys are as well. On this show, we're going to be talking about the Chili Bowl that happened this past weekend. Robert Wickens is coming to IMSA Racing, as well as the entry list for the LA Coliseum, or the Busch Clash, has now been released, and we're going to dive deep into it. I'm Jordan Mistig. I'm driving for Paps Racing in the number 19 car this year for Indy Pro 2000, and for Wayne Taylor Racing in the number 53 Lamborghini Super Trofeo. I'm excited for this podcast, guys. I don't know about you, but what do you guys think?
Nah, not really excited, honestly. I'm playing. This is gonna be great. I'm so super excited. We're gonna have some great guests. I'm not gonna leak what guests we got, but we've already got our first guest confirmed. Um, yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna give one hint where our guest is from. Our guest is from the great
America,
Sunshine State, from Florida. Yeah, he's from
America.
Hey, that's not a state.
America.
Okay. Never mind.
America is a state.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Anyways,
yeah, that's the only hint you're getting, guys. But no, I'm Zach Buchanan.
So my grandpa?
I'm the digital content creator for Hoosier Kart Sport and Margay Racing, and I drive the number 4 kart in the Ignite series.
Hi, my name is Nate Marienthal. I drive the number 6 cart. Yeah, or yeah. No, I don't actually race. I don't know why I'm here. I'm just kidding. I'm just here to be a moderator type deal. I'm also kind of a co-host type. I don't know. I love racing, so I'm here to moderate the podcast as well. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's pretty cool. I have my own show, where I only talk about basketball though, college basketball pretty much. So yeah, I'm excited to do this one as well. So it's fun times.
Talk about self promotion. Anyway, boys.
I didn't mention the name of it. Anyways, let's get into this thing here. Ben Axles and Broken Hearts is our first segment name. Ferrucci's Chili Bowl crash is going to lead him to a concussion. You guys want to get into that one?
Oh, yeah. This was a big one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, big in the Chili Bowl that happened. I think it was what, B main or C main leading up to. Oh no, it was actually early on the weekend. I think it was like on.
It was a warm up on like Thursday or Friday.
It was a prelim. I think it was a prelim.
I believe it was either Thursday or Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he had a good run on down the backstretch, and then just caught the right rear tire of the driver in front of him, and it sent him into a tumbling spin basically. And then next thing you know, with these midget cars, if for those who are unfamiliar with them,
they're very light.
Yeah, they're very space, and they're very light, very powerful cars. And I think they produce up to 1,000 horsepower. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but Ferrucci basically went end over end and got up all the way into the air, hit into the catch fence. Luckily, the protective netting there at the Chili Bowl is pretty sturdy, so was able to kind of get away from the incident unharmed. Besides getting a concussion, he was transported to the hospital that night. So Santino Ferrucci for sure, going to have a concussion to start off 2022, but definitely a scary incident for him, and I think he's going to be okay. Hopefully, when the racing season starts, he should be back to normal.
Well, let's not forget, Ferrucci kind of has been a little unlucky lately. He had his crash in Indy 500 practice last year.
Yeah.
That left him with a leg injury. So it's been a little snake bitten in the injury department. Yeah, Chili Bowl, crazy as always. It's a great race, though.
So Ben Axel, broken heart for week one. It's obviously very unfortunate. I was hoping to see Ferrucci in the actual A-Main, the actual Chili Bowl race later in the year, because he's not a bad dirt racer, to be quite honest with you. He's actually a pretty good dirt racer when he gets like into situations like these at the Chili Bowl. He just doesn't go dirt racing as often as most guys like Christopher Bell or Kyle Larson do on the NASCAR side, or you don't hear his name much on the dirt side, I'd just say. So for Santino Ferrucci to have, it was a very uncharacteristic crash like that, but as we all know in motorsports, it can happen at any given time to any given driver. So just luckily to know that he was okay. Fortunate enough that we didn't get to see him in the main Chili Bowl race, but we know for sure he's probably will come back harder next year and want to win it all.
I'm going to steer off the path a little bit, and I'm going to say for my Ben Axel broken heart, I'm going to go with Connor Daly. Connor Daly had a similar crash in that he flipped and basically totaled his car on Saturday. I believe it was Saturday. Weekend over. But I will say, I just want to note this. I think it's really cool when we see all these crossovers. I mean, we've seen this a lot in racing in general the last couple of years. Different drivers crossing over to different forms of motorsports. The Chili Bowl is no exception to that. I mean, you got IndyCar drivers, NASCAR drivers, drivers from other forms of dirt racing that come just to run these midgets at the Tulsa Expo Center. So to me, it's pretty cool to see people come together for this big event.
You touched on that too. It kind of reminds me of like the old IROC days, or now we have SRX. Where instead of racing on short late model tracks, you now see them racing on oval dirt track located inside a building. It's indoors out of all places too. So, and it's kind of like a little bull ring. And what's cool about it is that you get even dirt guys who race all year in dirt, race up against the best in IndyCar, the best in NASCAR, best in NHRA, baby. You get some people. So to see all these different forms of talents, like all converge into this one little arena, is pretty cool, to be quite honest, to see how much, like, who has the best, like, who's best on dirt, who's best in stock cars, who's best in Indy cars, and to see who's the best of the best out of all. And we've seen guys like Rico Abreu, who's raced in dirt, transition over to NASCAR. NASCAR didn't really work out for him. Comes back to dirt racing, and he still succeeds and is running up front all the time. Guys like Kyle Larson, obviously, both successful in dirt and NASCAR. And then you got guys who are very successful in dirt who may never have a shot in the stock car world, but make their name known in dirt racing and are well known just for this Chili Bowl event.
I will say, I'll make an exception for Rico, because I don't really feel like he was getting a fair shake in NASCAR. I wish he would have had more than a full year, because you expect somebody to just jump in and be good right off the bat. I don't feel like he got a fair shake on that one, but I digress, basically.
No, I think he only had 2 or 3 seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he only got one team, one shot, and once he was done, I don't know if it was a budget thing or if it was just sponsorship wise.
Yeah, I don't know.
So in that case, in that regard, like, Rico was a consistent driver. I didn't think he was that bad when he was.
I thought he was okay. I mean, it was literally one full season. That's all he ran. One full season. That's it.
I think he was on the verge and on the cusp of winning a race here and there. I think he had a couple top 5 finishes, definitely a couple of top 10 finishes, but I think he was definitely on the cusp of winning a couple races there. I think luck just didn't fall his way, or a lot of bad luck happened to where he unfortunately was just on the wrong end of the bargain, to where he couldn't get the job done, and the cards just didn't fall the right way for Rico.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. This was right around the same time that Kyle Larson came in and was successful. True. Christopher Bell came in and was successful. You had several dirt racers. I mean, you still have it, like David Gravel has kind of worked his way into NASCAR. You see these different dirt racers that have transitioned into NASCAR, and some have had success right off the bat, others not so much. Mm-hmm. But this kind of plug and play mindset where you could just throw Rico in and just tear it up, I don't think that's a fair shake, really. He's got to develop just like any other driver. I mean, think of like Haley Deegan coming from off-road. I mean, she's still developing. So, I don't think he really got a fair shake.
I think the bad part, too, is that when he's coming in with guys like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and
bar's so high.
He's being compared to them. He's seeing how well Larson's driving, how Christopher Bell's driving, and Rico's got to up his standards to how they're driving, too. So, not saying that Rico just couldn't do it. I don't think he didn't have enough time or enough of a chance to be able to prove himself that he's able to do it. It's hard to go from one of those super light midget cars with a ton of horsepower to go to a big, huge stock car. It takes some time to get used to it. It takes some time to be up on the wheel. I mean, you look at Kyle Larson, his rookie year, he didn't win a single race in his rookie year in Cup.
All right, let's try to move on to someone else here, guys. So our next, sorry being on there for a second, I had a flick phone call. Next, we have our little, obviously our topics. The next topic we're talking about is just dumb things on the racetracks, like personal racing experiences from these two gentlemen here in front of me. And we only have one so far in here, and I'm just going to let Zach take it away here. That's about Zach. And take it away, Zach.
Dumb things to do on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say I've done plenty of dumb things on the racetrack, so I feel like I'm pretty qualified to talk about
we could have a whole show about this, whole episode about Zach can't dump his racetrack. Anyways.
So 3 years ago, it is the 2019 season opener for the Buckeye Karting Challenge. Basically, that's the Ohio State Championship. I was competing in 206 Senior. The opening race was at G&J Kartway in Camden, Ohio. This was like early to mid-April. So the weather
that's the racetrack that's got a lot of YouTube videos on it, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of people go there it has like a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, you could literally Google Camden karting or G&J Kartway, and you'd find a lot of videos about it. Like even like karting compilation videos, you see all kinds of videos that has Camden in it. It's a great racetrack, by the way. So we were competing in 206 Senior that weekend. There were 41 karts in our class. The Saturday, basically the way the format for this series worked was, at the time, Saturday was just practice, strictly practice, didn't really count for anything. You just show up and it's just like a practice day. Sundays when you get into warm up, pill draw, heat racing. So you start second for your first heat, second heat, you start second to last. And then, you get points, you score points, and then best on points starts pull for the feature. That's how that goes. So, practice, it's practice. That's how, you're just running laps. So Saturday, it was raining. Not much, just drizzle, just misting. But the thing is, there's a lot of cracks on Camden's track, so they fill it with sealer. Well, this sealer is like sidewalk paint when it gets wet. It's super slippery. So everybody's being very careful because every class that goes out, you just see carts spinning off left and right, crashing, just people going in the grass. It looked kind of silly because it really wasn't raining. It was just the track was damp. And so we grid up for, I think it was our first or second session. And I felt good the first time out there. And I was like, okay, I'll just grid up at the front. I think I was grid spot like 4. In the front, a few guys, I was like, all right, I trust these guys. I feel comfortable being around these guys. We'll probably set some quick laps. Okay, cool. This old guy, I don't know who it was. This guy was at least like 70. Goes up to the front of this 40-plus kart grid and grids on the number 1 spot because that was like the only spot open. This guy grids up at number 1 spot. Okay, I'm like, this is not going to be good. So we go out there and we're just putting around. Like I'm not joking, we were crawling because we're just feeling it out, getting heat in the tires. We could kind of tell this guy was slow. I think we were trying to just give him room. And then we're going into what they call the barn corner on the backstretch at Camden. And this guy, brakes on the straightaway, abruptly. It wasn't like an even braking pattern. It was, abrupt to where, the guy in front of me had to take evasive action to miss this guy. And I really did. I was either going to hit this guy or I was going to go off the track. And I decided, to go off the track because I was like, I don't want to run somebody over in practice. And it's off camber because it's a hill. Well, I get on this grass and I start to spin and I yank the wheel and I hold the brake and then I bring the wheel back to center and the cart squares up and just slides straight backwards down this hill. And I end up in a cornfield. Now, there's this infamous picture that's still – I'm not joking. I saw this last week on Facebook. This still circulates Facebook. And I think this went viral on Instagram.
Yeah,
too.
I saw it on Instagram literally a month ago, and I screenshotted it, and it's still on my phone. I did not know it was Zach, though, because the guy's just standing in the corner for the 206 car.
Nobody does.
Just looking like, and it literally says, when you send it too hard or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun. 206 cart. I'm like, then Zach posts, oh my God, it's still going around. I'm like, wait a minute. That's a number 4 cart. Wait a minute. That's a 4'2" guy. I know who that is.
I'm not 4'2".
I know who that is. That's Zach Buchanan.
I just got
That's Zach Buchanan. That's our. I'm like, wow. So that was pretty fun.
I'm not 4'2".
So I did see this picture of someone standing in the cornfield, and I thought it was you, Zach, because I saw the cart. I'm like, that cart looks very familiar, and I couldn't recognize it was you because the fire suit wasn't the same. It was a different fire suit than when you were before. But I could recognize the cart looked very similar because I could tell it was the red number 4 and red and white number 4 Margate cart, but it had no stickers on the side.
So yes. So that was my first suit. It was too big, did not fit.
It looked pretty slumped over.
It had a burn hole on the elbow because it was too thin. And I must have elbowed the exhaust or something. So that happened. Also, my helmet was not even the right helmet. I got a helmet for Christmas that year. I didn't know this because it was gifted to me. it was not Snell rated. So if you're a kart racer, you would know this.
Mm-hmm.
It's your helmet needs to be at least Snell rated.
I'm a freaking. I race rentals.
This was like a
rentals.
This was like a.
I race rentals and mine was
motorcycle
Snell rated.
Yeah, this was like a motorcycle helmet. Like like you could literally try to flip the visor up and it would fall off. So I would always leave the visor down. But that was like the only race that I ran on this helmet, just because of how it was. But so for context, this photo wasn't staged at all. So my dad, after sending me off on the track, he goes to stand on the viewing deck, doesn't see me come around. Crap, something must have happened, because there's part of the track that you can't see from the viewing deck. So he's walking around the track trying to find me. He comes around the corner. He sees me standing next to my cart in this cornfield. And he's like, hold on, let me get a picture. And I'm just mad at this point. And the fact that he said that, I just turned away because I was like upset. And you could see me looking away from the camera. And it just looks so staged. But yeah, there you have it. That's what happened.
Wait,
so
how long were you standing there for him to come up on the viewing deck around to take a picture of you?
At least probably 2 minutes.
So you just spun out, go into a cornfield off the track, and you just literally get out of the car and just stand there for 2 minutes because you're pissed off at the guy or pissed off at what happened?
I'm not even joking when I say this. The hill drops down so far that I literally cannot see the racetrack from where I'm standing because it's so high up. So like, for me to even get out of there, I had to have somebody help me pick my cart up and roll it up the hill. And then, it was fine. I just spun off the track, but I said, get it back onto the track, fire it up. And of course, on my way back to the pits, I'm aggressively scrubbing the tires because they had mud on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a great experience. 11 out of 10 would totally do it again.
Alrighty, that's I still can't get over that, dude. That's so funny. Oh man,
the amount of people that don't know that was me is hilarious. They're like, "Yeah, that was you." I was like, "Yeah."
All right.
So
next thing we got here are our third technical subtopics we talked about here on the show. We're going to talk about at least this first episode, wings and things. Jordan, do you want to describe really quickly what wings and things is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wings and Things is going to be a segment that we discuss about junior Formula drivers who are making their way up the road to Indy or FR or SCCA ladder, trying to make a name for themselves here in the States up to Indycar. Or we're going to talk about the Xfinity or Truck or ARCA series leading up the road into NASCAR. So hence the name Wings and Things. So we'll kick it off with James Rowe Jr. just came up through the news, breaking the rankings of going into Indy Lights, signing with TJ Speed, the newly formed team, who's going to be running with Kiffin Simpson and James Rowe Jr. as their two-car field. I think this is interesting for TJ Speed nonetheless, with Kiffin obviously being their first driver signing. James Rowe has done 2 years of FR Americas in 2019 and 2020, and then this past year did the first year of Road to Indy in the Indy Pro 2000, running with Peter Dempsey's Turn 3 Motorsports team. He won the last race of the season at Mid-Ohio. It was a rain race at the end, but nonetheless, it was a very, very consistent fashion the way James drove, and it was able to get the win. So to see him move up, going from FR Americas to Indy Pro 2000, now to Indy Lights in a 3-year span, I think it's going to be interesting to see how James reacts and how he drives. In this case in point, he's going to be going up against, obviously, a lot of competition in the Indy Lights field, as we all know.
Yeah, Indy Lights is going to be stacked this year. I mean, gosh, look at the IndyCar rookie lineup, too. So many people that have moved up from Road to Indy, from, Indy Lights.
At least 3.
Yeah, I mean, we got Malukas, we got Kirkwood, we've got
DeFrancesco, definitely.
DeFrancesco. There's like 2 other full-time rookies.
Callum Ilott and Christian
Lundgaard, yes. So not all of them from the Road to Indy. However, good rookie crop in IndyCar. Indy Lights, no different. Honestly, Indy Lights is going to be pretty interesting to watch, I think, for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Now, let's move back to James Rowe for a second. If we're looking at the trends of previous drivers that have come through the Road to Indy ladder, I would say, based on history, that he probably should have spent another year in Indy Pro 2000. However, dude is very talented. So I think he'll adapt just fine, and maybe he'll need an extra year in Indy Lights because of that. But talent is talent. Guys that know how to wheel, they do it. So
Yeah.
I don't think
Now,
he'll have an issue.
He's only had, 2, maybe 3 test days at the car. I think he's done 2 days or 2 test sessions at Homestead and then 1 this past week out at Sebring. And for the TJ Speed cars, it was an okay showing. Kiffin was probably mired mid-pack, I want to say. He was right around where Jacob Abel was, who's another guy who's moving up to Indy Lights this year. And James was kind of mired towards the back, I want to say. But the interesting thing was there was 12 cars there, and everybody was within 0.8 of a second. So everyone was underneath a second.
That's pretty good.
Which is crazy to think about. Now, don't get me wrong. Sebring itself they were run the short course. So for those of you who don't know, the track's divided up into 2. There's a club track and an international track. So I think they were running the club circuit to where it's only the back portion to where it goes from turns 3 into turn 7. And then when it comes out of Bishop at the next to the airport and it goes down that straightaway, it cuts back into towards turn 3. And that's the shortcut they take. So I think for them, it's like a 55 to 56 second lap time, something blazing quick. But to be only 0.8 off of guys like Benjamin Peterson, who have been in now the Indy Lights for this is their second year. That's pretty damn good, if you ask me.
Yeah. So speaking of Indy Lights, Juncos Hollinger Racing not doing Indy Lights in 2022.
That's not really surprised if I'm being honest. It just didn't really seem like they had anybody in their camp that was moving up that would, have suited the role of that. And obviously, if you don't have anybody with funding, there's really no reason to go racing in Indy Lights. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, I believe they're going racing Indy Lights next year. I think that's the plan. So
it was interesting because you have guys like the past drivers like Stingray Robb, Toby Sowery, who were funding the rides last year. Sowery obviously ended his program and campaign a little prematurely early to try to get himself a deal for IndyCar together, which left Stingray Robb all by himself, I think, for the last couple of races. Now, Stingray Robb then made the jump over to Andretti Autosport for this season, leaving no drivers for Juncos. And there was no drivers other than like Reese Gold and Nam Ahmed, who raced the last race in Mid-Ohio, to fill that role, which none of them were ready yet. And Kiffin Simpson was in the Juncos car, but obviously he's gone to the newly formed TJ Speed team. So in Juncos' terms, yes, it was smart for them to kind of pull out of Indy Lights. They obviously have not been at the 2 tests at like Homestead and Sebring prior, or even at the Chris. They did test a guy at the Chris Griffiths test, but I don't know if they were able to get enough budget together or if they were able to make a deal together in order to make it happen. So it's unfortunate to see that Juncos is not going to be part of the 2022 Indy Lights season, but they're going to continue to do their Indy Pro 2000 and IndyCar program with Callum Ilott. But I think you're right, Zach. Yeah, I think we might see Juncos come back in 2023 with the Indy Lights program as well.
Which is a good sign for Indy Lights. We're starting to see some progressive growth. That's something they've lacked. I mean, really, since the 2010s, Indy Lights is kind of, in terms of car counts, which that's kind of reflective of the talent pool. Not necessarily that there's bad drivers. It's just, the less cars you have to race against, the greater your odds are of winning. So it doesn't really look as good. Indy Lights, there used to be 20 plus cars. You look back to the old, the pre-IRL Indy Lights, the original Indy Lights, which started out as ARS. Though they would have huge fields in that. You go to Atlantics, which was kind of the parallel to Indy Lights at the time. Champ Car Atlantics. That series, again, had stacked fields, top to bottom. So, I think we're starting to slowly build back up towards that. I'd say we probably plateau at like 15 cars at the most.
This year at least, yeah.
Yeah, but, that's still good. It's better than running around with 7 or 8 cars.
All right.
Definitely. And, the competition obviously has substantially grown, and that's the one thing that I liked about the Indy Lights. But another thing too is that ever since Penske has now taken over the IndyCar system, we've now started to see more teams we're starting to see it treat more like the Xfinity Series in NASCAR, to where we're seeing a bunch of these IndyCar teams are now starting to come down towards the development ladder system. We have obviously now Andretti Autosports there. We have Force Indy, which is technically alliance with Team Penske,
Yep.
and as a Team Penske team. And now we had Newcoast Hollinger Racing, but I think they come back in 2023. That's 3 potential IndyCar teams within that ladder. And now technically with Belucas, now with Dale Coyne Racing and HMD, that potentially brings a 4th for Dale Coyne, and with HMD Motorsports. So we're starting to see this feeder series now, and I want to say you're seeing this farm system, I guess you could say.
There's a linear
drivers
path
coming. Yeah, it's a much clearer path that they sign on with the Indy Lights team, and then you're either going to be moved up into that system, or you're going to go to an alliance team for maybe 1 or 2 years until that seat opens up in that said team with the IndyCar series in the near future.
All right.
Kind of starting to look like how kart used to look. The way you'd have, for example, like Tasman was one of those teams. Like Team Cool Green had their own lights team. Just kind of like that, where you had your own way, your own system to get to the top.
All right, guys, let's go on to the next topic here. We're going to go make it and break it, make it or break it, which is basically going to be some news right before our main show topics. We got to where we really dive into. So first thing on the list here, you have Connor Daly signs with ECR full time for 2022.
So I kind of knew a little bit about this before this was announced, and I couldn't really talk about it, obviously. But no, that's cool. It's cool to see Connor have a ride again full time, to be back with the same team for the entire year. Obviously, somebody that deserves it, has kind of paid his dues, has proven in the ladder series throughout that he deserves a top ride. So it was just a matter of funding. I mean, that's how it is for really any driver in IndyCar. It's not really a matter of talent. It's a matter of funding. And Connor has proven that, you give him good stuff and he'll run pretty solid. So it's cool to see. It's cool. Good for him. He needs that kind of atmosphere. And it's a multi-year deal too, so he's going to be there for a couple years.
I feel like he's had some bad luck. I feel like he's had some bad luck with the last couple of years now of IndyCar. And honestly, it's to the point where it's like, some things, I mean, whoever we point the finger for the blame, but I think overall he's been pretty unlucky now, so I'm glad to see him get a full-time ride.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been unlucky, and to see how he performed last year, especially the Indy 500 and ECR equipment, I think was a telltale sign that ECR wants him back.
Huge.
2, he could be a great asset to this team. And 3, Rinus VeeKay needs a competent teammate who's going to be there week in and week out, helping him not only get wins, but helping the team in an aspect. There's another car now with Connor Daly in the car who's going to be a team player and going to play the team role, whether it's Rinus in the lead or Connor Daly in the lead. You now have 2 ECR cars who are potentially going to be battling for wins at every racetrack.
They're definitely good complements of each other, I will say that. And not to mention, we should also throw out that they're going to run 3 cars on all the ovals. So Ed Carpenter will still race. It'll just be on the ovals.
I mean, if you honestly think about it, having Ed Carpenter, Connor Daly, and Rinus VeeKay as your oval driving lineup, that's a pretty stacked lineup of oval experience.
Let's not forget that Connor gave Carlin Racing a pole at Iowa.
You're right. At Iowa, out of all places.
Out of all places, yes. And, Carlin has kind of had some issues as a startup IndyCar team for a few years now. Also funding and whatnot. But, Connor in a fill-in role put the car on pole, which is insane. Kind of speaks volumes to his ability on oval tracks.
All right. Next topic here. Foyt signs Calderon for 2022, making AJ Foyt Racing a 3-car team. What do you guys think about that one?
Okay. So I might get some heat for this.
Oh, God.
Tatiana Calderon. First off, great that we have another female, almost full-time. She's running all the street and road courses in that 11 car. First off, it is great that we have another female driver in IndyCar.
This came as a surprise to us this morning too. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody really expected this, and it came as a surprise for almost all of us because now it's a three-car effort now for AJ Foyt.
It's kind of been rumored for a while, ever since Foyt picked up Rocket as a sponsor, that she could potentially
come as like a package
into
deal.
a role. Yeah, kind of evolve into a role on that team. And I was a little surprised that it happened, but she had also tested with him, so it's not like it was a secret. Now, I get Milka Duno vibes from this.
Oh God.
I'm going to be honest. Now, I will say she is much more qualified to be an IndyCar than Milka Duno was.
Absolutely.
Because Milka Duno, there was rumors that her birth certificate wasn't even legit. Now, Tatiana Calderon was literally a reserve F1 driver. So, like, I'd say her resume is a little bit more legit. However, I don't know how she's going to do. Give her credit. She has never been in a scenario like this before to race at the top level of motorsports in a full-time, almost full-time effort. So, see how she does. I think her best measure of success, not being in a great car, is going to be her teammates. Kyle Kirkwood, perfect example. Indy Lights champion. He's probably got the highest ceiling of all the rookies, especially if he gets into a good ride at some point. Kyle Kirkwood, great driver. So, that's your metric. Dalton Kellett, he's an IndyCar veteran, has, not really put up any great results. If you can hang with him, I mean, you're kind of showing at least you're good enough for that ride. So it'd be interesting to see. And you got to keep an open mind. It's her first season, so
yeah, it'll definitely be exciting. All right, for the next one here, I'm gonna get some heat for this one because I forgot how to pronounce her name again. So for the next one, guest will to announce the next topic is gonna be Jordan Missick. Yeah, bring it up, everybody. Jordan,
putting me in this.
Okay, I just want to throw Nate under the bus. Nate does not know how to.
Please.
Okay, not only does Nate not know how to pronounce Jacques Villeneuve,
Nate
does not know who Jacques Villeneuve is.
I don't know who Jacques Villeneuve is. I don't know Vanilla Wafer is.
Villeneuve? Oh my God.
Vanilla Wafer, dude. I don't know. Okay, I'm here to help moderate the podcast a little bit, have some fun, and so I'm a casual racing fan. Casual. Let me clarify that. Thank you.
Nate's just here because nobody else would do it.
To the casual racing fan,
guys, good seeing you guys. It was good seeing you. It was fun with Zach.
Villeneuve's name. The casual racing fan would know Jacques Villeneuve's name and who he is.
All right, sounds good. Let's get another moderator here today. Let's get Evan Stommer as a moderator. I don't know, dude. God, get me off.
So,
here.
I think this is cool that Villeneuve's, back because this is like a 10-year hiatus.
I need to look him up.
Last ran NASCAR. I guess give Nate credit. Villeneuve was an Indy 500 winner and a kart champion before Jordan and I were even born.
True.
Also, he was an F1 champion before we were born. So
how am I supposed to know what this is?
So, that's not totally inexcusable, but F1 world champion, IndyCar champion, Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, I've seen his livery before. It makes you feel better. I've seen this paint scheme before.
He's seen what the cars looks like.
Yeah, I've seen the car before. I just watch race car go in circles. I don't know, man. I'm so sorry.
But the good news is Jacques has had some Xfinity experience when they did the races back in the day, back out in Montreal, racing at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, actually. So,
talk about home field advantage. Sorry.
Jesus, Nate. What are we going to do with you?
I don't know. Zach left, though, so that's good.
Yeah, Zach left the chat. So, anyway.
Carry on.
So Jacques Villeneuve to come back and try to make an Indy 500 attempt. What am I talking about? A Daytona 500 attempt. Thank you. Half-ass attempt. So to have Jacques Villeneuve do a Daytona 500 attempt is going to be something pretty cool and spectacular, I will say.
Sounds cool to me. Yeah.
No, it is cool, to have, and that's what this is all about, really, is to have like the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, and having like the 24 Hours of Daytona or any of the big motorsport races that happen in the world, especially here in America.
He's 52.
To get a lot of,
That's cool.
He's old, but the cool part is that we get to have a lot of famous drivers who have done success in Formula One, success over in
It's
IndyCar,
almost
maybe success in sports car to come race some of these
yeah.
big
It's
races and just
almost in
dip
a
their toe
way.
in it.
It reminds me in a way. I mean, I think this is that. Well, the Chili Bowl is much more, but it reminds me in a way of the Chili Bowl. Like with this kind of
Yeah.
situation, it's like other drivers. Like I mean, I think the 24 hours Daytona is a bigger one for asphalt racing. IndyCar, you'll see a little bit. Daytona, you don't see too much of this though.
It's like
Unless I'm wrong about that. From my knowledge of NASCAR, you don't see many like non full season drivers that try to qualify. I mean, it's certain every once in a while, but like you don't see anybody who's not affiliated too much with NASCAR try to make this race.
exactly. I mean,
So it's
you
pretty
look
cool.
at IndyCar, you had in the Indianapolis 500,
Yeah.
you've had Fernando Alonso make 2 attempts at the Indianapolis 500.
For
You've
sure.
also had some other drivers, like for instance, Tony Stewart
Yeah,
did the
exactly.
double when they did it with NASCAR.
That
Kurt
was
Busch
cool.
was the same thing.
Yeah.
He came over and did the Indianapolis double. So to see guys like Jacques Villeneuve who've done different forms of racing to now just try to come over a huge stock car on one of the biggest tracks in NASCAR at Daytona,
Yeah.
It's cool to see. And it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to compare himself throughout a field, let alone do some pack racing for the first time
For
in his
sure.
career.
All right, so we're gonna go to move to the next one here. We haven't got to the main show topics yet. So the last little topic thing we have here at our make it or break it. Quick first thoughts. I want to get your first thoughts here on the next gen test that recently happened in Daytona. Speaking of Daytona,
They went fast.
they did go fast, Zach. Good job,
They
Well,
buddy.
went fast and turned to the left.
Next up, no, I'm just kidding. be great.
I mean, it's cool that they've been streaming the test. We've seen videos on Twitter and stuff, but we're not gonna know. We're not really not gonna know till race time. Even the duels, it's not gonna tell you much. They're just riding around. The guys that have to race are the guys that are the open cars, and it's just gonna be a few guys. So you're not gonna see any high desperation type racing. It's literally just gonna be guys riding around.
Sure. And I did notice a few things that were interesting points for me. One, I mentioned it to you guys, I sent you guys in our group chat and everything, was how skewed the race cars were.
Yes.
We saw how the ride height was.
Oh my God.
Obviously, the ride height wasn't playing a factor and all.
The 43 was crab walking around the freaking turns. He's
Like,
going
he
on the
was
he's
looking
going on
like
the
he was
front
aiming for
straight.
the
He's
wall.
going on the front straightaway like he's sideways. I don't know.
Which,
It looks
that's
funky.
been pretty normal for the Gen 6 cars.
It looks funky.
But the way they made the next gen seem that they were trying to get away from that. I mean, not to mention the car itself is symmetrical.
Yeah.
Which the Gen 6 was not. And so you
a-
kind of got that sense that they were trying to steer away from that.
I have a quick question
But
for
when
you guys.
when you don't have the ride height rules
Cool.
on super speedways, that kind of stuff's probably going to happen regardless.
Yeah. So I have a quick question for you guys. So I know it's a little off topic, but it still relates to this test stuff. So with these new cars at Daytona, not knowing how they react, blah blah blah. What lap will the first caution like wreck from like multiple car incident come out? Because it's a brand new car. First of all, it's 500 in general, and it's a brand new car. We're not sure exactly how it works yet. Even when we saw testing, you're still not sure exactly how it will work fully. So what
First
lap?
multi-car wreck?
First, like not just one car incident, but first like 2 or more car incident in the 500. What lap will it happen on?
Inside of 30 laps.
This is a bold prediction.
That's a lot more I thought it would
early
go.
prediction. So I'm actually going to go a lot later than you, Zach.
Really?
I'm going to go within probably around lap 150.
I was thinking like lap
It's definitely
15
either
area,
gonna
like say
be-
20. Someone's gonna lose it, and it's just all over.
The only reason why I say that is because after watching some of the next gen tests, a lot of the cars, when they get single file, tend to just pull away from the pack itself. And this is where I have a big fear of we're going to see another 2013 Daytona 500 or like a Daytona 500 we saw last year where it's going to be a lot of single file freight train racing because guys who run side by side in the pack are not going to be able to stay or catch up with a pack that goes single file. And if you end up like in 2016 where the Joe Gibbs cars are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they could pull away from the whole pack by themselves. And the only way the whole pack's going to catch back up to them is if they go
As if they
single file.
race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will say, in fairness to the last year's 500, they had the ability to race when they wanted to. It was pretty clear when they were riding around single file that they weren't really ready to go. Inside of 10 laps, they started racing, and then they had that huge crash on the final lap. 2013, completely opposite. They were clearly trying to race, and didn't seem like they were really able to. So I hope that's not an issue. But I guess to your point, it was the first race for the Gen 6. So, yeah, hopefully that's not the problem here.
Yeah.
So
So
just
you got
it
Jordan.
was just seeing some laps in practice or when they were testing. It's just when cars got single file, they were just able to pull a little bit of a gap, and the guys who were over double file they couldn't close the gap or stay with it. So just seeing if guys get orchestrated and organized on the inside and just run around the bottom, I feel like it could pull away from the field and it could cause just freight train racing. Now we might not see it on the top, but I think we may see it on the bottom. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see how the duels react when we go to Daytona for that race and then for the 500.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say they're going pretty fast.
Yeah.
The whole idea was to slow them down. They were running laps of like 196, so it's not like they completely slowed them down. They're not going 205 like they were in the Gen 6, but they're still not slow.
All right, let's get going here. Next up, our biggest segment really should be the show. The main show topics. First one up here is a really, really cool one, actually. Robert Wickens returns to action with Hyundai and BHA.
I am so happy.
So excited.
So happy to see Robert Wickens back in a race car.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cool as with Brian Hurta Autosport because obviously they were, still technically are an IndyCar team. Yeah, I mean, Robert Wickens, his exit from racing was because of was in an IndyCar. So, to see him come back with an existing IndyCar team is pretty cool. And just the fact that he's able to drive, I feel like he will be competitive. And I think I don't know if this has been made public. I don't know if this has been talked about in a public forum, but the vibe I get is that IndyCar is 100% off the table for him, like a comeback to IndyCar, which that's understandable. That's, I couldn't imagine anybody trying to do that. And Wickens is an incredible driver. However, I don't see him ever driving an IndyCar again. But, it's cool to see him back.
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch on first the drive that this guy has and the will to want to get back in a race car. I mean, ever since he's crashed, he has worked day in and day out every day of his life to get himself capable to get and fit enough to get back in a race car. I mean, I got to give props to him for all he's done physically, mentally, and emotionally to get himself prepared to go racing again. Obviously it's something he loves to do and it's something he wants to do. So I'm so happy to see that he's put the initiative and the effort to get himself back in a race car. And I'm excited to see what he's able to do. Now, back to your point, Zach, on him in an IndyCar. I think he had some optimism at first. I think he didn't know how tough the process was going to be, how tantalizing and a toll it was going to take on his body. So to see him not in the IndyCar again, I think it's going to be hard to digest, but I think it's honestly for Wickens the right choice. I think he's still going to be associated with IndyCar and Smith Peterson McLaren. I think he forever will be associated with them and a part of that team. But I think for him to race in the IndyCar is going to probably be off the table only because, you need to have – I think you just need to have a functioning body to be able to get out of the race cars as quick as possible. Like if the car catches on fire, you got to be able to pull yourself up. And without the use of both legs, it's going to be very, very tantalizing and tough on Wickens' body himself.
Yeah, and if this is another emergency where it requires quick action from him, I hate to be extreme, but let's say, excuse me, if this is a Grosjean situation, he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, real quick. Isn't there some sort of don't the drivers have to go through a test, quote unquote?
Yes, they do. They have to do an extraction test.
Could he even pass that?
Probably not.
Then there's no way.
Especially with the Halo system now that they have in, it's another 5 feet that he has to get up and extract himself
Yeah,
out of.
so there's just
Not
no
only that,
way
but he has
to-
to jump over the halo.
Yeah. So there's literally just no way you can go back. 'Cause if you can't pass that, you really can't. So there's your answer, pretty much.
It's tough. It's just tough without using the function of both legs. And
Right.
He's able to use both legs. Don't get me wrong. He's able to use both legs, but he's not able to use it 100% like he was used to be able to.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
fully.
Makes sense.
And I want to point out we're going on year 4 since his accident. August 2022 would mark 4 years. That's like the fact that he stuck with it just kind of says how, like you said, Jordan, how driven he is. A lot of people would give up and then just accept that they would never be able to do that again. And this guy keeps going and going. And he got to test a car at Mid-Ohio last year, and now he gets to go racing. I will point out he's also been very active on iRacing.
Mm-hmm.
He has a sim equipped with hand controls, so he's still able to race. So it's not like racing in a format like that with hand controls is something foreign to him. He's done it before. But yeah, it's really cool to see him.
And I think one more point that we can make sure that, just to say that I don't think IndyCar is going to happen, is that you mentioned hand controls and on the steering wheel. That technology is immense that they has to go into a steering wheel to be able to work. I don't see how it would be physically possible to get a big enough steering wheel or with hand controls to be able to function an open wheel car.
Yeah, I agree with you, because you look at all the buttons alone on that wheel. I don't know if those cars could take electrically.
And that contributes with getting out of the car.
Yeah.
Well,
not only that,
it's just like there's just honestly it's sad to say, but there's just not only there's any kind of way he would be able to get back.
But I don't think those cars electrically. I don't think.
No, I know, but like even like
have hand controls on the wheel.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying, like even if they could though, even if like electrically they could do that though, there's no way with a wheel that big taking it off. He would be able to pass the test. That's the thing that just kind of sucks about it. All right, next up here, the second topic out of 3 on our main show topics, the LA Coliseum for NASCAR. The entry list has been fully released. Thoughts, opinions?
Yeah, so obviously we knew that it's going to be a lot different than what it has been in previous years. Instead of having the 20-car field that we are normally used to seeing of the pole sitters or past winners from the past year or previous years, it has now been announced that it's the full 36-car field, so the whole NASCAR roster is going to be there. And they're going to treat it basically like a dirt race with the qualifying, then heat races, leading up to transfer spots, last chance qualifiers, and then getting into the main event, which is the 150-lap feature race.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's going to be a fiasco. Look, they're going there clearly for the show aspect. Right?
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
They made a makeshift racetrack inside of the LA Coliseum.
They're not even
if they wanted
planning
a track like that, just go to Bowman Gray.
Yeah, they're not even planning. There's no pit road. There's no, there's no pit stops that are going to be happening.
Yeah.
It's literally just going to be safety personnel in the inside of the part of the racetrack, to where if a wreck does happen, they can go onto the track and clear it.
I think there's also going to be a work area, like a repair work area available.
I say we just throw all 37 cars at one time. We just say yee, brother, and get it going.
Honestly, could you imagine the whole infield's going to be so packed, and especially if you're trying to put all the pit crew members in that infield to work on a car?
It's not. Well, it's why it's the the clash type deal. It's not, and I think it's cool. I get it. It's this huge stadium that's been famous for so many things, and it's like, why not have NASCAR there? I get it's for entertainment, but at the same time, though, that's really, at the end of the day, NASCAR cares more about money than the actual racing, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
See, here's the thing that I think is hypocritical about this whole deal. Certain tracks have been turned down in the past.
But this is in LA, though. It's the Coliseum. This is LA. This is they don't care about.
I get that.
But what I'm saying is cash is king in this kind of stuff. They don't really care. They'll turn them down for that kind of stuff maybe in the first place. But then you got the famous LA Coliseum. They're not going to turn that down. Doesn't matter what kind of stuff they got there. And they now have safer barrier, which is interesting because people thought they wouldn't have it for this track that's 60 mile per hour on the turns, but they're still adding the safer barrier. So I don't know. That's why they're doing this.
That's the point I was trying to make. Is yes, tracks in the past have been turned down because they didn't have safer barriers. They didn't have an infield care center that, tracks that probably would have provided good racing that were proper racetracks.
And they don't care about that kind of stuff, man. They don't care.
That's
they care about the money.
To make.
Well, like,
we
don't have to make the point. I can tell you right
race.
now, that's all they care about is the money when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Clearly.
It's.
I mean, you look at this race; it's a complete wreckfest they're asking for in this case.
Oh my god, yeah.
Which I think is sad from a team owner standpoint. Because you're just going there to wreck race cars. You already know that.
It's funny because some of the cars like that these teams are sending, like you normally would send when you go to Daytona for the Clash, you send a car to try to learn some information or race for the 500. Now, obviously, we're not sending a car for the race for the 500 in this case because we're building totally different race cars. But some of these guys, because the way the cars are and how many years supply, I think each team has, 2 race cars per team? So, like,
you definitely can't afford to tear up stuff.
No. Like, Joey Logano, for example, has mentioned that this LA Clash car that they're taking is supposed to be the race car for Auto Club, which is the race after Daytona.
I thought originally the Clash was supposed to be done with Gen 6 cars.
That's what they said, but I don't know if they're
fans want to see the new cars.
I think they're doing it with next gen. Yeah,
fans want to see the new cars. It's all by the fans and money and all that kind of stuff. That's the only reason why it's here. It's like because it's a Clash. It's supposed to be a show. That's why they made it. When did they make it? I don't know if it was last year. They made the Daytona Road Course. Dude, that race was great.
Yeah.
It was sick. Came down to the last lap, freaking last turn. It was great.
See, I like the road course.
Yeah,
however,
I loved
I don't think it should have been the Clash. I think it could have been like it was. I think the way they had it last year was good. Daytona 500, Daytona Road Course, race 2, Homestead. You race in a certain region for how many weeks, and then you move on to another, like the West Coast Swing. Although I feel like the West Coast Swing, they should do all the West Coast races at once and race at Sonoma in March because it's beautiful in March. Have you ever seen Sonoma in March? It's green.
Oh,
Who knew Sonoma had grass?
Yeah.
It does. And it would look great for a NASCAR race, but they refuse to go there in March. To further prove my point here, I just want to make a point about the Clash. If you want to have an experimental race like the LA Coliseum, that's fine. However, I feel like the Clash is best suited for Daytona and the Oval. For like Jordan, what you said, it's like an R&D session for the 500. There's pole winners that earned that.
Yeah, no, that it has a sentimental value to it. That what the Clash brings. Now
it's
you
been
lost
around
that
for so many years.
Exactly. Now you lose that value to try to bring entertainment to the sport, and now when you take it to the LA Clash, you basically have lost all value in the Clash because now it's looked at as a joke.
NASCAR has done. Yeah. NASCAR has made a lot of questionable decisions in the past how many years now, and this season is no different. First of all, let's just go through really quickly here. So I think the Clash is definitely one of them. Like we talked about, second is going to single lug nuts. A lot of people are going to miss, multi lug nuts in cars.
I don't see that as an issue.
Okay, let me finish here. Let me finish it. Maybe you don't, but NASCAR fans don't like that much change. They have now. They don't have an H pattern anymore. They don't.
Okay.
Well, let me finish all the problems. They don't have an H pattern where people.
How does that affect the racing?
People don't have the They don't have the H pattern anymore. People don't like that sometimes.
They don't have an H pattern. The racing.
Bro, can I finish all my things? They don't have an H pattern when people don't like that much. And then they don't have.
Am I wrong?
And then they all, dude. Zach,
how does that change the racing?
I don't know. I could not give a shit how it changes racing. Fourth and final thing. Golly, it's like talking to a gorilla that's on steroids. Dude. Fourth and final problem is the numbers. They're all moved up. People don't like them. It doesn't matter how big or small the thing is. It's what makes NASCAR, and they're changing it. It's not about the racing. They don't. I mean, it's not about that. I'm not talking about racing changes. I'm talking about just NASCAR making decisions based on other things.
No, I agree with you 100% on the number because NASCAR is suffering.
Oh, goody! I'm so glad you agree with me. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about it, Zach.
NASCAR is suffering from an identity crisis, and you've proven that with the things that you just said, because it's just like, what is going on?
They changed so much so fast, dude. Oh my god, it was too quick.
In general, okay, so like let's clarify here. The number was moved forward to allow more consecutive space for potential sponsors to advertise. However, you look at these schemes that have been released, and there's a bunch of blank space.
Yeah, because
let's think of this like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so last year, I don't know if it was 2021 or 2020, they got rid of the contingency package, which so all the contingency decals that were there for how many years were gone, to allow teams to put their own sponsors there, sell advertisement space, and really nobody utilized it. There were a few teams that utilized it, and the big thing was it didn't look good. However, like Joe Gibbs Racing, I'll give them props. They consistently made that look good. You look at any Truex scheme from 2021.
This was great. His was the prime example.
They not only utilized that space properly, but they integrated the scheme to accommodate that extra space that was being used that might have looked awkward on other schemes. They changed it up. Props to whoever designs their schemes. It looked good.
Mm-hmm. I love the chrome. The chrome now being allowed too is really cool. I will say that being back in who was it? Brad Keselowski's car, dude.
Yes.
I'm really excited for that. It's cool. But it just to me, it's like I don't like care about the changes because I used to be like 110% NASCAR, right? Like I watched the chase. I watched every race. Now, I haven't watched a full NASCAR race since last year's 500. I keep up with it every weekend. I'll see who wins, all that kind of stuff. But I don't sit and watch a full race anymore. So half is like, okay, so some change maybe. So I'll get back into it a little more. But the half is like for some of these fans who are used to what it is, and they're changing a lot at once. And I don't know, man. I'm a mixed about it, but
it's a huge fan movement. It's a fan, I want to say, crossover. Only because you got a lot of fans who were Gordon fans, Junior fans, Kenseth fans, Stewart fans, Edwards fans, who all left. All those drivers left within a 3-year span. And with that, a new identity was made. NASCAR tried to bring in and tried to advertise to a different generation, a different market.
Even Clint Boyer left, man.
They wanted to see a different form of racing than what we're getting today. The older generation loved what we were getting today. The younger generation didn't. They thought the races were long and boring. So they want to shorten up the races, keep everyone entertained, keep everyone interested in it. And it kind of started off with it started off right when we got introduced to stage racing. Not saying stage racing isn't the worst thing in the world. I would prefer it to have stage racing be you award the points, but don't throw a yellow. Just keep the race going.
Racing.
Personally, really fast. Really fast. I've been to 2 Cup races now. My first one was at Talladega, and I wish we had I don't know when I was in 6th grade at the time, so it was a while back. But I wish we had stage racing at the time because there was no cautions the entire race till the last couple laps. Surprisingly, so it was to the point where I was like, man. Now looking back, if we had stage racing, we could have seen 2 different, green flag restarts with a couple, maybe, a caution and anything like that. You know what I mean? Though that's one detail.
I'm not saying we need to throw a yellow. I'm saying we can keep the race going, but it's going to allow people. So those single file long races, you get to a certain lap, people are going to start racing, and then once you get to that lap,
exactly,
they're going to continue going.
Yeah, exactly.
It kills road racing.
Exactly.
The stage yellows kills road course strategies because there's no fuel mileage. It's literally just you pit under the stage brake or you pit right before it to cycle to the front. And then at that point, it's just really tire strategy.
And then maybe they could change it up a little bit more. They're already changing this stuff to appeal to the younger generation. Maybe they can do it even more here and do what you just said. Maybe take away stages and road courses. And see how that works maybe for a little bit.
Yeah, but you still have to be able to pay this. You can't. I mean, I get what you're saying, Nate, and I agree with you. But you still have to pay out stage points somehow because you do it for every other race. So you can't just not do it for road courses.
What if we do like Jordan said there, but we don't throw a yellow, but we give them stage points?
Exactly.
That could be something that works too.
That's the way I think it works because everyone knows the certain lap when the stage is coming to an end. Everyone's then going to race the same way if a yellow was coming out, and then it may entice the field to keep racing like that because you're in those positions anyway.
Exactly.
So Because here's another thing too. Along with the road courses, when a stage yellow comes out, it takes about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes for a stage yellow.
It's awful, dude.
Stage breaks in general suck for that.
Mm-hmm.
They kill the flow of a race. And this is what I'm going to say about stages, and I'll shut up about it. Okay, you guys say that it's supposed to, make things a little bit more exciting and kind of, so it's not a long, boring, drawn-out race. I haven't noticed races being more exciting because of stages.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The nice part about before stage racing was if there was a yellow, you didn't know when it was going to come.
Yep.
And you had comers and goers. Some guys would be fast at the beginning of the race. If it was a long run early, you might see them fade by the end of the race. It allowed for varying strategies. It was a true race. Now, was it always exciting? No. But there were certain races. I mean, we really got spoiled with the Gen 4 car because
I miss it.
Almost every track was exciting. So, maybe that's an outlier because we had it for so long. So, but I mean, I don't know. I still feel a little bit connected to that era because it was so good. So why can't we have something like that again?
I know we're going way off topic. Yeah, I know we're going way off topic with the next thing I'm going to say here, Zach, but I actually want to kind of piggyback what you're saying. Do you think, how long do you take? Okay, so obviously talk about how we had a great era with the Gen 4, So with this new next-gen car, do you think that, when do you think we'll get like a really good race with this new car? Do you think it'll be the 500? Do you think it might take a little bit? Do you have like any kind of idea to it? Or what's your thoughts on that real quick? I know we're going off topic, but this is good conversation stuff, so.
I don't know. I based on the testing and what we've heard about the car, it's supposed to be the best car that NASCAR's ever had.
I thought they always say that though.
Whether that's
in a way, they always.
I feel like they always say that.
They got to hype it up some way. I mean, it depends who's saying that. If it was Dale Jr., who's not like fully associated with NASCAR.
Dale Jr. says it does everything better. So
it's either going to be the best car ever or the worst car ever.
I can see that.
Because looking at the Charlotte test, it's either we're going to be able to run nose to tail, no dirty air, going to be able to get someone loose out of the way, and you're going to be able to dive to the inside and make a pass on them, or you're going to get a bunch of dirty air, aero wash, then you're going to get into clean air, then the car's just going to suck around, and we're going to have self-spin galore.
For sure.
So I do want to make a point, and I want to kind of circle back around to what we were talking about, the Clash. The Clash.
Dang.
I still think we go with Dale Jr.'s idea. We stick to the oval, and it's just 20 laps, pole sitters only. So it doesn't matter if it's 5 cars or 20 cars.
I thought that helps on the smaller teams too. It's like if you look at the entry list, you got a couple of small teams in there that aren't really that big. Like, can they really afford to go to this Clash?
But what? Yeah, exactly, Nate. What are you gaining out of it?
Yeah,
prize money.
Like,
there's prize money.
I gotta look back. With a smaller team here. Let's just take a look here. That it's of this list.
I guarantee you, for a smaller team, they are losing money going to this Clash. Making a profit on.
There's no way. There's no way the payout.
Just 2 right here: Spire Motorsports and Live Fast Motorsports. What are they gaining from doing this?
Nothing.
So why is NASCAR
losing?
So I don't know.
Because they're a chartered team, so there's probably some sort of clause that they have to go.
Oh yeah, I guarantee there is. But at the same time, though, it's like I guarantee. I would love to know. So obviously, you guys know people. You guys know people in like racing world. I know certain people in the basketball world, whatever. It comes to a point where I know that people do certain things. They don't like to do them, obviously, and they have to do it. I think this is one of those. This is one of those moments where I guarantee Spire Motorsports or Live Fast Motorsports for sure. These guys, these drivers, these owners, these crew chiefs, blah, 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 they probably don't want to do this at all. I guarantee you.
No, I'm sure NASCAR behind the scenes had to provide some sort of incentive to make these teams be like,
for sure. I hope. I really do, because it comes to a point where it's like, man.
There's no way they make money.
No.
Without some sort of other incentive.
If you think about it, these teams are traveling cross-country all the way from North Carolina to California to maybe go race.
Yeah. And before it was it was Daytona, and Daytona was the oval actually. But before, and in a way, that's kind of like a little practice, Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're getting something. We get to practice on the track we're doing a freaking first race on. So in a way, you can consider it that way, I guess. But at the same time, though, this is like okay, but you can consider it that way. Maybe some people call it a waste of money still, but this one is a huge waste of money for these smaller teams.
Well, and kind of to, I guess, tie this up and put a bow on it. Run the Clash on Wednesday night on the oval. Do qualifying Wednesday night on the oval. Do the duels Thursday night on the oval. ARCA race Thursday night. Trucks Friday night. Or you could do ARCA Saturday with Xfinity. Saturday Xfinity, Sunday Cup. You can
Bring back speed
it
weeks.
used to be speed weeks where
Being
you
back
have
at speed weeks.
multiple weeks of
I miss
Daytona.
practices.
It was so expensive.
I
But
miss
now
practices so much.
it's just 1 week, but you could still jam pack all that in there and run the oval. I don't know. I still have a connection to the Clash being on the oval.
Yeah,
Listen, we can go on and on about the problems in NASCAR.
Well, I would make
Yeah.
one more thing that's kind of hypocritical in NASCAR.
Okay.
Actually. Remember how they got rid of practices, obviously, the whole COVID
Yeah.
thing, but now it saves teams money, blah, blah, blah. But
They are coming back this year, though.
I know, but I really do miss the whole, practices because I loved watching them. Honestly, it was something on, like you said, about the Chili Bowl. It's racing
Yeah.
and it's on TV. It kind of thing with
Yeah.
Supercross too. I'm not a crazy
Not
Supercross
only-
fan, but I got into it a little bit because it was on. It's
Well, not only that, but it allows teams to kind of adjust and work on the car.
yeah,
And
and
which could
who's
the best.
which could create better racing for the fans.
It
But they seem to be
shows
going
who has
they
the-
seem to be going away from that. So who knows? I don't really know.
It shows
It's-
who has the best team week by week.
Yeah.
Who has the best team? Who works together the best? Who has the best driver? Who has the best car? Not just who has the best. Which team can put the best car together and which driver can drive the best car?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one practice, one qualifying race. I think that's what you need. You don't need several hours of practice like we used to have. It only benefits the best teams with the most resources, with the most money. And really, it's just kind of unnecessary because you're kind of limited anyways if you're a smaller team. So to me, it doesn't really make much sense to have hours of practice every weekend, but to have a practice and a qualifying session, I think that's good.
My like dream weekend would be for NASCAR now in this era would be to do like an hour and a half first practice. Then you could do let's say the teams can do a debrief, come back, do like a happy hour, 1 hour second final practice, and then go into qualifying and race.
Yeah, I mean
That way it gives teams like time to debrief a little bit, look at their setup, look at the track conditions, see how they change throughout various parts of the race. Because let's say you start practice at 1 o'clock, do the next practice at 5 o'clock.
All right.
The race could change between different conditions of the day. So I would just like to see, a little bit more track time than we're given. But It is what it is. Like teams want to cut costs. NASCAR wants to cut down on its at-track stay because of COVID and the pandemic.
But then we go to the Coliseum and do all that, which is hypocritical of them in a way because
that is
that was why that's why I started talking about practice in the first place. Like, hey, I kind of it reminds me I missed practice, but man, they did it to save money. Wow, now we're talking about how they're spending all this money to go to LA, just to maybe wreck a car or just put on a show that doesn't even matter at all. Just and you're taking away time. I don't know, but okay, we probably should continue because it's pretty far.
You guys don't want to rant about NASCAR more?
Yeah.
If we want to skip the next,
go on and on
if we
about
want to
NASCAR.
skip the next topic,
we can go on and on about how
I think we should
NASCAR's
skip the
problems.
next topic.
if we want to skip the
I'd
next
rather
topic, because
I'd rather rant about NASCAR than talk about.
Honestly,
the next
yeah,
topic.
let's do that.
okay,
We were going to talk about the Chili Bowl and all that stuff. So congratulations, Tanner Thorson. You won the Chili Bowl. Beat Christopher Bell. There we go.
Oh, I was referring to
Yes,
the
let's
fact that
NASCAR. Ooh.
I was referring to our next segment actually. If we don't have to
Okay.
talk about that, that's gonna make me feel a lot
Next up, our next segment, ladies and gentlemen, Bozo of the Week. Last week we had some guy wreck somebody in Supercross, forgot his name. That's how much of a bozo he was. Today, you never forget his name, Zach Buchanan. Anyway, Zach Buchanan, mainly for being a Cowboys fan.
Okay, I don't get how I'm the bozo in this, but yes, okay, it is
Yeah.
playoff season. I am a Cowboys fan, and the Cowboys lost, surprise, in the playoffs to the 49ers. Now, we did have a good comeback in the fourth quarter. We
Made it
decided to
extra.
actually play in the fourth quarter. That's cool. And then,
That's the first.
14 seconds left, no timeouts. What do? We call a QB draw, and we run straight up the middle. And guess what? The clock runs out, and for whatever reason, Cowboys fans and the Cowboys themselves are mad at the refs. I don't get that. Don't call a run play with 14 seconds left, no timeouts. Use the sidelines, maybe. I don't know. Bozo of the week, definitely the Cowboys. I don't get how I'm a bozo for being the Cowboys fan, though.
To be fair, Bozo of the Week
Thank
for
you.
us here on this show is basically what we thought was stupid, dumb, whether it deals with racing or whatnot. So that's what the Bozo of the Week is because we thought it was pretty dumb.
Thank you so much,
That
Zach,
is
for
pretty
coming on today.
self-explanatory.
Anyways, back to NASCAR. NASCAR should be Bozo of the Week, actually, for their freaking do the LA Coliseum. Having the LA
made
Coliseum
NASCAR
be
the
a
Bozo
full
of the Week.
entry. NASCAR is now Bozo of the Week next to Zach. Next to the Cowboys, actually. More than
Yeah,
anything.
it goes Cowboys, then NASCAR,
Zach.
then me.
Then Zach, right after that.
Then Nate and his freaking soundboard.
What is wrong with my soundboard? I wish I had the booing. Oh, I do have the booing effect on here. Where's the booing effect? Oh,
Oh,
no, where's
God,
the
don't
booing
put
He doesn't
effect?
even know how to use a soundboard, and he's trying to use it when we're recording a podcast.
See all those boos? They all love me. Yeah, I mean, anyways. Yeah.
Great first episode, guys.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. Next up, NASCAR. We still talking about NASCAR?
I hope not.
I hope, yeah. I mean, we could go ranting about NASCAR. We could create
All
a
right.
whole other episode about it if we wanted to.
NASCAR's doing some crazy stuff. We're coming back to LA Coliseum soon. Anyways, Zach's leaving before we make our predictions. I don't know why he's leaving so early. I guess the booze really got to him. Anyways, next up here, predictions.
Predictions. So this is going to
yes.
be fun. This
Yes.
is basically we get to be as vague or as accurate as we want to be, or I should say we can be as vague or specific as we want to be about the next upcoming race weekends, and we're just going to keep a tally of the whole entire year and who has the best. And
I want
hopefully
to
enough
make
we
it
get a big
clear.
enough-
I'm having Mazepin win every single race in Formula One. That'll be my top 5 and one day to come true, and I'm so excited for that. Thank you.
or Mazepin to finish 20th every race in Formula One. Then you would get points.
Lost the Cubica.
You get more points
Ooh.
than Mazepin.
He finished 21st at a 20 car field.
Yeah, I know.
That's all.
Sad, right? Anyway, so sad reaction only. Anyway, so this is basically, we're going to keep a prediction tally, and then if we get enough following from you guys, we're going to open up a poll for you guys. We're going to each of us are going to create a prediction for you guys to vote on, and then it's your choice to vote which prediction you think will come true. And if you guys get it, you guys get to then play against us.
I'm really excited when we get the F1 stuff, an IndyCar top
Yes.
3, top 5, blah, blah, blah. I'm really excited for that kind of stuff. That'd be really cool.
That's going to be fun when that comes around. So
Yep.
predictions for the IMSA 100 that's going to be happening out at Daytona for the Roars for the 24-hour race this weekend. So I guess I'm going to go first with my prediction, and I'm going to go with the Ally Action Express car gets pole position in the qualifying race, and then the next week's dumb things on the racetrack is going to come from an LMP3 car / driver.
Okay, I said something pretty similar, but I put the Chip Ganassi Cadillac is going to get the DPI pole position, and I said there will be a wreck in the LMP2 field because LMP2s just scare me. I don't know what it is about them. Something about the way they race, and especially this race in particular. I don't know. And just in general, somebody's going to go crazy, and someone's, I don't know. Like Zach's is the DNF in LMP2. I don't know if it'd be a DNF type deal, but someone's going to get in a wreck. That's for sure. I think so.
Well, I think, too, correct me if I'm wrong, I think when they do the qualifying race, I don't remember if it's split up between the whole field does it or if it's just the G. I think it is the whole field because for some reason I was thinking I think it's qualifying. I get it mixed up with that. The GT field does it by itself, and then the prototype field does it together.
All right.
So I think for the whole event, it's going to be kind of the same. So, yeah, to see the LMP2 field going up against the DPI field, the LMP3 field kind of, will be interesting for sure. Zach, prediction?
Okay, I'm going to predict that we see the Cadillac, not just the Cadillac, not just the Chip Ganassi Cadillac. It's going to be the Chip Ganassi Racing 01 Cadillac DPI on pole, which has Sebastian Bourdais and I forget who else is on that car.
I think Alex Palou is on the car.
Palou,
that's the O2,
yes.
right?
I don't know. It's the
it's
O1
Palou.
car.
It's Palou.
Palou? Okay.
I thought it was below.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
They got a stacked lineup. I do know that. I just can't remember who they got. Anyways, yeah, the 01. It's gonna be fast. I mean, like their return to IMSA racing last year was okay. It wasn't like fantastic, but you could tell that they were probably going to be pretty competitive once they got everything kind of figured out. And now they've got 2 full-time cars, so they've got twice the data every race. So I think they're going to be okay. Plus, they've got just a stacked driver lineup on both cars, so they're going to be okay. So to me, in my opinion, that's a no-brainer. If I wasn't going to pick the 01, I would have said the 31. Whelen Engineering, Action Express
Defending
car.
champs.
Defending champs. Yep. However, if I got to have something like bizarre to happen, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer to pick LMP2 because it just seems like all the goofy stuff happens in LMP2. So I'm going to say somebody DNFs in the 100. So, yeah, I maybe it's just that it's a Pro-Am prototype class, and you get some inexperienced guys in there, but it always seems like just weird stuff happens in that class.
Sure. You're going to see a bunch of interesting plays, interesting moves, both in the LMP2, LMP3 field, and even in GTD. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole shindig is going to play out as we get prepared for the 60th running of the Rolex 24, which is coming in 2 weeks. 2 weeks' time.
Like for some people, the Chili Bowl is the start of the racing season. For others,
this has always been the start of the racing season.
This is
the
the start for me.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, the month of January.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a dirt racing too, I think maybe a little bit, but I'm
not even a huge dirt racing fan, and I still love watching the Chili Bowl.
Yeah,
and then the Rolex. I mean, who doesn't like watching the Rolex?
It's amazing.
It's always pretty entertaining.
Very good.
I mean, you get to watch it at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Racing's on. 3 o'clock in the morning. Racing's on.
Literally 24 hours. Once around the clock. Twice around the clock.
It's great. You can never get enough of it, for sure.
Yes, sir.
So, any last remarks, fellas?
Subscribe. Follow us.
I hate Nate. No, I'm playing. It's going to be, instead of Skip versus Shannon, it's going to be
I was going to say you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. But anyways,
Jordan's going to end up being the moderator to separate Nate and
I. Honestly, I probably am.
When we inevitably fight every week.
Zach's the type of guy that I like him a lot. If somebody asks me, what do you think of Zach? I say, oh, yeah, I love Zach. And then 5 minutes later, I'll be cussing him out. I don't know. Something about him.
Just a Cowboys fan, that's all.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I'm just kidding.
Nate's a Wisconsin Badgers fan.
Oh, yeah. When Wisconsin plays Ohio State, we just beat them basketball the other day, by the way, but no big deal.
Yeah, when's the last time you beat us in football, though? Hey, Nate, when's the last time
we're basketball school. We're basketball school. Thank you. Basketball school.
Yeah.
Basketball school.
Okay. I hear you.
All right. Anyways,
that's going to do it for this first
follow me on
episode
Instagram
of the
at
Arrive and
Nate
Drive podcast.
Follow me on Instagram at
That's
Nate
going to do
Marcus.
it.
Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all the support.
Thank you for watching. End it.
Thank you for watching the first episode of the Arrive and Drive podcast. We are going to see you hopefully next week. Please tune in, subscribe, follow, like us on everything, all the podcast platforms. Please push the notification button and see us for our next episode. You're not going to want to miss it. This has been Arrive and Drive. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. I'm all jacked up at Mountain Dew.
All right.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new podcast.
That's got to stay in there. That has to stay in there.
I highly recommend watching this podcast on YouTube.
That better not get edited out.
Highly recommend watching this podcast on YouTube right now. If you're listening, have a podcast or Spotify.
Hey, listen, if you guys are listening to the audio version of this, you definitely did not see what I just did, and that's okay. But for you guys watching on YouTube, you're welcome.